game one was a missed opportunity, right? You play very well. You should have could have, would have won that game, and you knew Florida was going to have a response. And I didn't like, and I thought McDavid handled it well after the game. Said that we've got other levels that we didn't reach, and that's really the truth. And it's their top players. I mean, Draisaitl hasn't reached his best game. He admitted it last night. I think McDavid's been around it. He's looked good, but he hasn't been, super threatening getting into the middle of the ice because Florida's done a good job. I thought Evan Bouchard was forced to play too much last night, and he made a couple errors. You look at Ryan McLeod, soft plays again. I didn't love his game. I thought he was, that Rodriguez goal. I know it's a turnover by Bouchard, but if you're going to block the shot or get the hell out of the way so the goaltender can make the save. To me, those are just critical, soft plays where, you're in the Stanley Cup final. There's just no margin for error. And, Florida's a seasoned team. They make you make errors. I thought Florida was a lot better last night with their forecheck. They closed the neutral zone off so the Oilers couldn't get any speed going through. So the adjustments, everything was made by the Panthers. They deserved to win that game last night. They won the game. Yes, they've got a stranglehold on the series, but I thought game two was critical, and I thought Edmonton needed to have it. But that being said, you need a response. I mean, if you end up winning Thursday, you push it into Saturday and see what happens. But winning 4 of 5 against that team, it's a big hill to climb. There's no doubt about it. But like McDavid said after the game last night, he goes, everybody's doubted us. We've had our backs up against the wall. Let's see what our best is. So we still haven't seen the best of everybody on that roster, including the power play. Now that's 0 for 7?
0 for 7,
Got to be a lot better. Yeah, so there's a lot to work with. But that being said, you're chasing the series, and Florida, they're going to smell blood, and they're going to continue to push.
Well, Noodles, and, again, we've been talking over the opening hour here about this team and the season it's been for them, and they've always backs against the wall, and every challenge they seem to have slayed, and they go on to the next one and the next one. I do feel, though, not only losing the game last night, but they're kind of losing this war of attrition that I find. I didn't think last night was a must-win. Technically, obviously not, but I didn't like the style in which it was lost. And we talk about injuries. We talk about, and you mentioned game one where you kind of feel like you've had them. They get away with one. Then they get the one last night as well. So coupled with all those things, Noodles, is it as simple as coming home and a little home cooking here? I mean, the fans will be nuts. Everything will be going on. You got a couple of days off, but I just feel with the Nurse injury, Kane can't really sit down, I guess, as we know right now. Like, do you kind of feel like this team has met all these tests throughout the season, dating back to the opening week? But I just feel like time really at this point isn't on their side when you have 6 shots from the forward group, 3 of them coming from a healthy McDavid, somewhat. I guess everybody's banged up, but he was flying around. You don't really see too many other people. When Kane can't sit down and your big money man on the blue line is can't skate because of his hip, I do feel like the sand through the hourglass is ticking away a little faster than it should be at this point. And I mean, I like them coming home. I like them starting on the road. I think you know what you work with. You're coming home. Obviously, it's a different scenario and vibe here. But your thoughts on this war of attrition, because this team all year, we've been knocking on this wooden desk with the health and everything else. It all seemed to have cooked for them. And I just find last night, too, not just losing the game, but the way in which they lost really was a stinger.
It really was. And you make a great point. And, for people that bag on Darnell Nurse, I mean, listen, they need him. They need him. I don't know what the injury, it looked like a hip pointer or something on that side. So you wonder if the extra day of rest can get him going. But that wasn't, the loss of Darnell Nurse basically pressed everybody else. I thought Desharnais was solid. I thought Broberg looked solid. I thought, what you're going to wear down that top pairing. Ekholm I thought was fantastic and he can handle the minutes, but he's a big body, right? Yeah. He's a big body. So when you start to chip away at him every time he's turning and going back and absorbing contact. And Bouchard, we all know what Bouchard is. He's casual. He makes plays. He makes things look easy. But there was some mistakes there, too, based on the amount that he was playing. So you're right. Kane doesn't look right. We know it. You might be better off giving him a game off. I know it's, to me, a healthy Corey Perry as opposed to Evander Kane. Evander Kane is a tougher customer, all of that type of stuff, but he's been a non-factor. I think you might have to just take a step back. But that being said, I didn't like McLeod's game. That's a guy, you can't allow him to be comfortable for some reason. He just is very casual and plays a soft game. I didn't think that was a major on Fogle. I thought that was now listen, they reviewed it. There's different camera angles that make it look worse. When you try to avoid contact, a lot of times legs do get involved. It looked more like a Charlie horse for Lesterainen than a knee on knee. But when you make the decisions on, that quickly, the refs have to stick with it. I like that they call a major and then they review it. At least gives it another peek.
Yeah.
But again, this isn't a biased opinion. I just thought, to have a major, it better be a major, because I didn't like the knee on knee that, or the perceived knee on Bouchard. And
I thought they were very similar plays. I thought if one's a 2, the other's a 2. That's how I would have thought.
Again, they killed it off, so they ended up scoring in between that. So it's it's a moot point. But when you lose Fogle, what you're doing is now you've lost 2 players with Nurse and Fogle. You're asking guys to mix and match a little bit. The minutes get up. Overall, if you could sit back from an unbiased opinion, who had a good game last night for the Oilers?
Yeah, it's a good point. I thought McDavid was around it. Like he was their best. He was their best player. But like when your forward group, he had 3 shots, Draisaitl had 2, Hyman had 1, and nobody else had a shot on goal last night up front. Like
that's really that's what it is. We just talked about Evander Kane being threatening. I think Holloway, tries, but he wasn't around it. I just talked about McLeod. The fourth line's going to push, but they've been matched by Florida's fourth line. So you do need depth. You do need guys to contribute. And really, you're fighting for your collective lives. So, there should be no fear out there. You've got to go and play and drive the middle and get to the front of the net. And it has to be a shot mentality. Now, that being said, the power play, there's 3 posts there, or crossbars. That's a little bit of puck luck. But around it, if your power plays 0 for 7, it's in this series, you've got to find a way for it to be a difference maker. I've said all along, and I still believe this, I can make a case for the Oilers to win 3 games. One is Stuart Skinner steals one. The goalie's got to be the difference. Bobrovsky's stolen one.
He got game 1. Yep.
Skinner has to steal one. Secondly, the McDavid factor. McDavid just says, not on my watch. It's my game. And the third is going to be the power play, special teams. And when I look at it, they've come up short on all 3. So far in the first 2 games, that formula hasn't worked. Doesn't mean it can't. You're coming home for home cooking, but you need something to drop, whether it's puck luck, whether it's determination, whether it's the power play that's not going to be shut down, the goaltender that stands on his head, or McDavid and or Draisaitl just says it's not happening on our watch. So there is things you can draw off of, but that was a deflating loss. I'll go back to what you were saying, Lieutenant Eric, it's a deflating loss based on the way you lost last night. Florida was the better team and deserved that win.
Yep.
That's basically the bottom line. I thought Skinner was all right. I didn't love the first goal against. I know it was a rolling puck.
Talk to us about that, Noodles. Like when the puck is up on edge, because it did look like it knuckled a bit on him, but there's that. I mean, you like to see him stop that one, but I also I was like, oh, geez, that's. So what do you think?
It wasn't a bad goal against, but I used to work with a goaltender coach named Mitch Korn. And instead of digging into the analytics, he always is like, woulda, coulda, or shoulda. That's basically it. Shoulda had it as a bad goal. Coulda had it as if, hey, you're a little bit better positioning and react better. That's the middle. And woulda had it if all the stars aligned. That was a coulda, right in the middle to me, where if he's on his game and because put it this way, Bobrovsky's been making those saves, and that's the difference is, and I'm not laying this on Stuart Skinner whatsoever, but when you're looking at stuff, You need saves at the right time. You're up 1-0. You're holding on for kind of a dear life, because I didn't like, the start of their second. They were back on their heels. They didn't get shots in the power play, and then you give up that 3-on-2 play. You just like to see a save there. Again, it's not his fault, but it's one where you're like, okay, if he, you'd love to see a big glove save there. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Noodles, we have to get into the Barkov injury, the Draisaitl hit. 2 minutes. I think they got the call right. I think that's probably all it should be. I know I'm looking in the chat right now, people saying he should be suspended for a game. Your thoughts on that play?
You know what? It's close. Like, I don't know suspension. Yeah, I mean, Sam Bennett didn't get a suspension for what he did to Marchand. And that was more egregious. Egregious.
I thought Draisaitl kept his arms in. I mean, the elbow he obviously elbowed him in the jaw, but it wasn't like he went like this. He kind of just came through like this. So I think that's the difference.
I always tell people this, okay? Again, try and remove emotion, and we can't. Obviously, the show that we're on, who we talk about, all of that type of stuff. But if that was Sam Bennett, or if that was even, let's just say that was Barkov on Draisaitl, what would we be saying today? Is it a suspension? Is that a penalty? That's the only thing. I would argue that Maurice's attitude afterwards, like, that might have broke his jaw. Like, there might be some, because he didn't come back. Now, I don't know if that's a concussion or where he hit him on the side of the face. That's an uncomfortable situation. So they needed him. And even Paul Maurice said, like, we didn't keep him out for precaution. Like, if he's not available for Thursday's game because of a broken jaw, or he's got to wear a full bubble cage, that might change his game a little bit. So I was fine with the call on the ice, but you can make a case based on the player involved. Barkov probably is your Conn Smythe winner right now. I mean, it's a tough shot. And again, I go back to, if somebody does that on Draisaitl or McDavid, where is our narrative today? So it's close. I see the arguments, but it's Stanley Cup final hockey. And that's why I come back to, I didn't think Foegele, that was a 5-minute major. I think and this is maybe old school in me, and I apologize for it, but I think it's got to be bloody murder for penalties like that. And I know that sounds barbaric and awful, but I don't think it was intentional where here I'm going to elbow him to the face, but you look at the cold facts, there was a forearm shiver to the jaw of Barkov, and he might be questionable. So, take it for what it's worth.
You're coming out here for games 3 and 4. I mean, just quickly looking ahead in this series, with the lack of offensive production, well, I don't want to say, like, they just didn't bury in game 1. They had a 18 grade A scoring chances in game 1. Like, do you completely overhaul this forward group, or you just sort of leave things health-wise the way they are?
I don't think you overhaul anything.
No.
I think what you do is you find a spot maybe for Perry. You can control him on last change, all of that type of stuff. Again, Foegele will play. I don't know if you give Ryan McLeod an opportunity to watch one game and get him pissed off again. I don't know if they've got the players to do that. Derek Ryan maybe comes in and gives you a little bit more speed and tenacity. I'd just like to say, everybody on that roster needs to play better to a man. So I don't know if it's much tweaking and you're overthinking it, or just saying, guys, it wasn't our night. We didn't play well. We've got home ice. We're going to get the crowd behind us, and we need everybody to play their best, or else you're 3 Cobb and you're done. So, I mean, if it's not been stated 100 times, it will be stated 100 times. Thursday's a must win. It's a must win.
You got to have that one, yeah.
Yeah. I will be in the building, so we'll see how it goes.
We were joking this morning, just quickly before we let you go. We were joking this morning when Ekblad was choking out Bouchard, and he tapped.
Well, at least he tapped.
Yeah, he tapped. But Eric had a great play.
Well, Noodles, no, okay. Stay with me here.
Got to play the officials.
And again, it's an Oilers, so everybody is complaining this morning that, the embellishment. The Maurice has players walking down the tunnel at ease and whatever. So I said, you're in a headlock. Go to sleep.
Just should have passed out.
You go limp, you do dead weight. Ekblad's then going to hold you up. What I do?
Then we're talking Ekblad suspension for choking out Bouchard.
Rubbing up the sternum, yeah.
It's true. But I think if you look at the look on his face, he's scared because he can't breathe.
He wants for that moment there. His breath was cut off for sure.
Well, when you get that chokehold, it's right on your Adam's apple, and you're done. That happened to me at Squires one night. A bouncer grabbed me from behind, and I was like, "Oh, I'm done." I did go limp. I went limp because what else are you gonna do, right? You remember Squires? Is that bar still there?
Squires is not around anymore. No,
that was the downstairs, right at the billiard club.
The pool, yeah.
White Avenue.
My God.
There was a fight that broke out. I was standing there, and I think the bouncer thought I was involved in it. He got me a chokehold. I just went limp. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, good stuff, buddy. All right, well, safe travels out here, man, and we'll chat with you soon.